Welcome to my guide for noobs for Conquest of Elysium 4, which I do for egoistic reasons because the game is great but has a somewhat high learning curve, and I think if more people succeed at playing this game it will sell better, and therefore the probability for another installment is rather high. So let's look. We of course want to start a new game. Map size medium is okay, small is rather fast combat and that we don't want. Society makes a large impact on style of play. For example, in Fallen Empire you have lots of undeads and horrors roaming the land, while in agricultural you have few large cities, and as there are several classes in the game which have problems or are good against undead and which need large cities or which don't profit from large cities, it makes a large difference. I will choose Dawn of a New Empire as I think it's rather balanced. Enable score graph so I see what my computer enemies, how good they are. I will select the class. Here it is at the moment random, 1 human player, 2 computer players. Difficulty Jester is just okay, there shouldn't be any problem. And I will select Baron because it's one of the easiest classes. The other very easy class is Troll King, but it plays in a very special way, while if you know how to play Baron, you should be able to play most of the other classes. So, unique random players is so that the computer players are not the same class. Okay, creating a world. Name, I just select OK because the name automatically selected is normally OK. So, what you see here is, as you see in the text down, the Baron's Castle, our capital, so to speak. Here is the area, surrounding area we can see, which has differing terrains, for example, sea and mountains. And here's some coal mine with some guards. And in the upper left corner you see always the commanders you have selected on the respective place. For example, here if I right click currently I could command the Baron to do something. Shelmeric is the name, okay. And the other commander I have is left click, is a High Lord. So here, unit overview, the usual menus. Score graph is an interesting, at least if you have score graphs activated. Here we can already see against whom we fight against a necromancer and against the voice of L. Okay, and we are a Baron. So here we have possibility to cycle through commanders. Here we have one of the most important menus. It's for recruit units. But currently you see here the prices. It's usually 50 gold, and some 25 gold, and some require an iron. We don't have at the moment enough to buy anything. So we just exit. The next thing we have to understand is here our income is shown. Currently we earn some gold. And here the season is shown. This is early summer. The season is important, for you see we have here ice around us in summer, so we are quite north, and the line of ice you see here, probably there's no ice. It changes with season, so in winter the ice goes very far south, and in summer it is most north. Here we have already 2 farms and a hamlet. As you see, if I have the mouse pointer over an area, it shows me information here that the farm has 1 gold income and that the hamlet has 2 gold income, but as it is in ice, which we can see from here, it is halved. Here we see a global income bonus, which we have as Baron of 25%. So this start is a bit bad because we start completely in ice, so all our income for these squares is halved, which is not that good. Oh, sorry, it's only for cities and such things, while, for example, this coal mine does not have reduced income, but we have not yet conquered it. Now right click, we see our units. This is the way they set up for defense in case the castle is attacked. If we right click on a unit, for example, the Baron here, we get information about him. We can also, for the Baron, if I go back to a world map, right click on here and get the same information. Now unit information is very important because it can make very great difference which units are good against which other units. The Baron here, we take the Baron to understand it. Hit points, of course, is, as it is written there, how many damage a unit can take before it gets killed. Strength, it does not, strength is necessary to resist some attacks, for example stun and entanglement, and a change of strength always changes the damage output. So if the Baron, for example, for whatever reason gets 2 strength more, he would get more damage. Moral has the effect if there's a fear effect or a fear spell, and then there's a moral check, and the higher the moral, the more likely the unit does not run away in panic. Magic resistance is important for a lot of spells, whether they affect the unit or not. Armor reduces incoming damage, all damage except that damage that is explicitly armor negating. And rank is the position, which is a bit, I will show that later. Now here we have slots where our Baron could carry some magic items, but we do not have yet magic items. Here beneath the slots is an important bar. It shows special abilities. Our Baron has the special ability Leadership, which we can click upon, and there we learn that it grants a moral bonus to all units led by this commander. So if we have an army led by this commander, or at least an army where this commander is part of, then the moral is increased. And here are the attacks. This is a magic greatsword. Here this means init, so initiative. It decides when the attack happens, the range, how close the Baron has to be. I just show the battle happens on such a square field, and the distance 1 field means that the Baron could currently, at least in this position, attack only our own units or maybe someone flying above the castle wall. The damage here, it's important to understand that this +3 does not mean that the Baron does 4 to 15 damage, but it is only a +3 for the maximum number, so the Baron does 1 to 15 damage, which is still rather a lot. Magic Greatsword, if we right click on this, we have here some abilities that it's a magic that can be important for some units, and that it has this sweep ability, which means that it can kill off several weak units with 1 attack. Burst means how big an area the attack hits. Here with the sword, of course, it hits only 1 enemy, and here again the range is displayed. This is also for other units. For example, this is a Spearman. Here we see he has only 6 hit points, strength, moral, magic resistance 4, no armor, rank front, and he has a spear which does just only 1 to 4 damage. Also, there are different types of damage. This is pierce damage, while the Baron has slash damage. There are also sometimes certain units immune or resistance against certain damage types. The Spearman, on the other hand, also has a shield, which sometimes gives armor against some attacks. Here we have our other commander, the High Lord. We see here 13 hit points. He's slightly weaker, less moral, less magic resistance, but at least good armor. By the way, armor of 3 is as good as armor of 2 with a small shield. Therefore, having this small shield, oh, it's not a small shield, sorry, there's a large shield and there's a shield as a unit ability. So this Spearman is as well armored nearly as a unit with armor 1, because shield gives 0 to 1 armor against attack, but armor is generally reduced by 0 to 1 before attack. so shield is just as good as a point of armor. The Baron, the High Lord, sorry, you see has other abilities. He also has a shield. He has leadership, but only one, so he's not as good for moral as the Baron. And he has local leadership, which he can read grants around in the 2 squares around the unique and moral bonus. Here the attacks, sometimes what is not very clear is whether all attacks can happen at once. Usually if attacks have more than one range, it is a ranged attack, and all ranged attacks can usually be done together, and all melee attacks can usually be done together. So for example, this High Lord, at least what I just said, should make a lance charge and 2 broadswords attacks. But with the High Lord it is already a bit different. I think he only does a lance charge on the first attack and then 2 broadswords attacks in the following rounds. Because the lance charge is a special attack usable only once per battle, but on the other hand it's rather strong compared to a broadsword attack. Our other units here are Longbowmen. Here they have a longbow attack with range 6 and a dagger attack range 1. So at distance they use longbow, and, which is important as this is a ranged attack, they cannot use it in melee. So when these longbowmen get into melee, so a unit right next to them, they can only use a dagger attack, and you already see their longbow is of course better, as can be expected. And then we have spearmen and we have cavalrymen, which at least also have armor and have a lance charge as the High Lord, but only a single broadsword attack. Now an important special ability is this, fast. The fast unit has 4 action points per month, just as the High Lord, which is also fast, while the Baron, you see, and the spearman, the longbowman and the spearman don't have this ability. This means 4 action points, which you can see above here. The Baron has 3 action points and the High Lord has 4 action points. Action points are used to move the unit across the map. But before we move the unit, I forgot the most important information, and that is only commanders can move unit around. So the units you see here just stand around unless a commander leads them, and you use the commander to move the units across the map. And to make a commander lead some units, you must transfer unit. Here you see in a green slightly rectangle the commander you have. Here with a white rectangle another commander, and all the other units have just crosses or no crosses depending upon whether they are assigned to one commander. This commander has already the cavalrymen assigned to. If I double click on them, I deassign all of them. If I make a single click, I can assign individual units. Maybe some of you wonder why I explain this all in detail, but I do this of course because this is supposed to be a guide for noobs. And it's very important how you arrange your troops, because for example you see here all 4 action points are gray. If I now include a slower unit, a unit of usual speed like the longbowman, you see 1 square is black. This shows that this army can move only 3 points, although the commander and the cavalrymen could move 4 points. So if you want to have a fast army, you need to have only fast units in it, as it is already selected here. Now we have to check out that our Baron also has units. And now we would actually start playing and moving, and now we have to check out the most important information. The most important information, whether there are any moving hostile units near. You can see this, that normally units standing on such a field or square where there's income, like the coal mine with 1 gold and this hammer is 1 iron, that these units are normally guards and don't move around. The exception are usually only bandits. But these are not bandits, but some guys called bakemonos. They will remain in place. This is important because there are 2 ways to lose this game. One way would be to lose all commanders. So for example, I could immediately lose that game if I would deselect all units for my commanders and then move both commanders, for example, to attack these guys, because I think my 2 commanders might lose against these 7 people. Or maybe they win, the Baron is rather strong, but it would be great risk to lose them and then immediately lose the game. So usually your commanders should only move around with some units, because the majority of fighting is done by the units. So, as these are stationary units, we should not... the other way to lose is if I lose all recruiting, all places I can recruit at. Currently I have only my castle where I can recruit units at, so if I lose my castle I have lost the game. And my castle is only defended by units standing there. Therefore I can only leave the castle defenseless if I'm certain that no unit will move there. And currently I am certain, or rather certain, because here there are no units and hopefully no invisible units, because I think there are no swimming invisible units. Okay, and these units do not move, and on the rest of the squares there are no enemy units because they are green and belong to me, so I can at least for the moment move. But I have to watch these guys. The tundra there does not produce any income, it's no income site, and therefore I expect those, what is it? It's a High Lord and 3 knights to move around. Maybe they move here and take a farm. Such units, such gray units, they only move 1 square. Therefore I'm currently safe for them. At least they cannot claim my castle. Some enemy units which have color, you see we have red and blue as enemies, they of course can move 3 or 4 squares, but they will not start close enough. Now another important information is if I move here across the mountains, you see the 3 pairs of boots down there. This shows me that it costs 3 action points to move into mountains. For example, this coal mine costs 2 action points, this iron block costs 3 action points, and this forest costs 2 action points. Also, what you do not see here, where is ice, where there's snow, movement costs are increased by 1. So if I move here, it costs me 2 movement points. I try this with the High Lord. Does he have his units with him? Wait, let's see. Transfer units. Yes. So you see 2 action points gone. And if I use now too many action points, for example by moving here, or maybe we will see it here. If I move here now, if I move to the coal mine, it's 2 action points standard cost and 1 extra action point cost. Therefore my High Lord would have 1 action point to he would have 1 action point missing, and this will be subtracted in the next turn. But for the moment the important question is, can we conquer something? For this we have to study the defense, and again now we have to check out how strong these units are. At least, okay, I wouldn't have to check out because I'm no one, but you should do it in your first games. We see here this some Bakemono show. He has just 3 hit points. He does 1 to 2 damage. He does not have a shield. He does not have an armor. Okay, he has little magic resistance, but that's not useful for us as we don't have spells. But at least he's far weaker than one of our spearmen. These guys, on the other hand, Dai Bakemono, they have 2 armor and they do 1 to 11 damage. So they are not they are a lot stronger than our spearmen. If you remember, our spearmen have 6 hit points and just do 1 to 4 damage and have effective 1 armor because they have a shield. So we could expect that 5 spearmen are strong enough to take care of these 5 Bakemono shows, but we would need 4 to 6 spearmen to take care of them, to be sure. We should preferably attack with superior forces because then our losses are lower. Now if we check out we would bring some 3-6 spearmen. We have 5 longbowmen which do damage as spearmen, 1 to 4 in distance. So this force alone would probably be strong enough to take out these. But we also include our cavalry, which are, as you see, not quite as strong as these 2 Daibakemonos, but nearly as strong. At least their lance charge does as much damage, and they nearly have the same hit points and actually slightly better armor because they have 2 armor and a shield. So we conclude if we attack with our combined forces, we should be much stronger. So now we move and attack. See, now our castle is undefended. There's no one there. I do not even see units when I click there, and therefore a single enemy unit could now destroy us, but that's a risk that we currently can take. Now we make end turn. We can see here also some information about our income. Yes, I showed that. Also about our iron income, which we don't have yet. And here we have trade, which is something we get in larger cities and so on. It can convert us gold to iron and the other way around. Here we can check messages. Sometimes we get messages and then we can read them again. Here, trade admin. There we decide whether we buy or sell iron, which at the moment is irrelevant as we cannot. Next commander, we have used them all, so we make end turn. We are attacking independence. This is this battle here.